Hello, it's a day of meetings, isn't it? Today, Snoop Dogg has been greeted by a piper in Glasgow. Tremendous. And it shows the pipe's versatility and the extraordinary mingling of sounds. It's so important that music is always fresh. And I think it's particularly important that we find a way to embrace music of all forms and music of all time. So, rap is very much part of our modern understanding of music, but it has a much deeper history. We can take it back certainly into the 1960s, and I think we can take it back to the 1920s and William Walton and Facade. Very much a piece of rap with somebody standing in front of a small orchestra and reciting poetry. That is what rap means. Rap is an acronym. Rhythm and poetry. Though, of course, for the most part, most poetry is rhythmical. Most poetry, even poetry which is supposedly without a meter, tends to have a rhythm. It's just a matter of finding it. It tends to be fairly irregular. But I would even take it back to the days of Alexander Pope. Alexander Pope wrote a letter and he explained that the reason he used rhyming verse was so that his political attacks would be more memorable. He used simple rhyme, which is very much what rap uses. Rap isn't the sort of clever rhymes that you tend to salute in a Cole Porter lyric or a Noel Coward lyric or something by Stephen Sondheim. Rap is simple, basic rhyming, and it's earthy. And even in its manifestation in other countries, the wonderful rap of Caesar in Turkey, the very speedy rap, the rap of oxxxymiron in Russia. He was doing concerts the other day in London. I went to a concert at the O2. Sensational performances, very theatrical. Miron has the ability to link not only rhymes and Russian politics, but also Russian literature and filth, of course, naughtiness and rude words, but all mixed together. An extraordinarily heady experience, and he also has quite clear harmonies as well as rhythm. So it's a very creative form of musical expression. So there's that on the one hand, and then on the other hand, the other awakening, the other messages which have been sent out today are to the Kremlin that Mr. Putin has been recognized by the ICC as a potential war criminal, and he's been called to be brought to trial. And this, it can be dismissed as unimportant by the Kremlin and the cronies, but it really does put a statement of distance between the activity of the Russian Kremlin, the Putin's Russia, and the activity of those people who have been invaded, assaulted. It becomes much harder for the trolls on the internet to claim that it's a bit of tit for tat, that there's parity between the two sides. There is no parity. Mr. Putin invaded another country, a sovereign nation, number one. Had it stopped there, maybe there were arguments that could be made, but it didn't stop there. Putin has endorsed brutality on a scale that has not been seen since the Second World War, and it continues. And he attacks civilians and civilian structures willy-nilly. This is a detestable behaviour, and I think the ICC has been extremely restrained in delaying their call. it becomes now much harder to find a way out for Mr. Putin. I'm not sure this is necessarily the right way forward. It wouldn't have been the way forward that I would have chosen. I would have chosen to give Mr. Putin a way out first. Arguably, this now makes it much harder to bring this war to a speedy conclusion. But I hope Mr. Putin takes the advice of His Holiness Pope Francis and convenes for some serious negotiations with Mr. Zelensky in, let's say, the Vatican or in Israel, even in India. But this must happen sooner rather than later. And the fact that Putin is brought to a table for negotiation doesn't mean that we should stop supporting Mr. Zelensky. In the end, the aim must be to create an environment where right can be recognized and wrong can retire.